And there we go. Now I'm in. There we go. We're up and running. Yo, hold on. I'm not showing up on Insta. Yo, just a second. Let me try this one more time. I'm gonna jump. Hey, can you guys see me? Jeannie, what's up? Can you see me? Can you guys see me? Is your screen black? Yo, what up, Cassie? I'm talking to my friends over on Insta right now. It looks like my screen is black. Hey, can you guys see me on Insta? You see me? Okay. Yay. All right, let's go. Rock and roll. It looks like just a technical glitch over here. What's up, Gus Inger Miller? It's like it was all one word. It looked like for a second. So what's up, Orlando? Hello from Sweden. I wish I knew any Swedish. Just any. I know just a few words in a lot of different languages, but I know zero Swedish. Magali, oh my gosh. It has been 20 years, my friend. This is so cool. Thank you for joining in. How are you? What's up, Rachel in Ireland? Hello, Jules in France. Peter Bordas. Oh, in Slovakia. Kosamash, my friend. What's up, Debbie? What's up, Kim? Kim Johnson. I'm so okay. I'm glad you can see me. Sarah, my friend, thank you so much for joining. I love to see you on here. Shelly, what's up? And good morning, Gloria, Los Angeles. All right, my friends. Yo, happy Monday. Holy smokes. Chris Lentine, guys, my buddy from Arizona State University. We're talking almost 30 years ago. He just jumped on here. Yo, dude, it is good to see you on here, my friend. Man, we got some catching up to do, that's for sure. It's been quite the ride. I'm sure it has been for you too. Peter. Oh, Peter's already coming out. He's got some hard-hitting questions already, asking if I've ever dealt with anxiety and panic attacks. My friend, if you are in the same boat, just know that you are not alone. Yes, I was actually diagnosed with an anxiety disorder a few years back. I talked about it a little bit on the last live. I didn't even realize what exactly was going on. I know I've always had a strong anxiety response. So I always hesitate when I say I have anxiety because it's almost like something I don't want to make that a part of my identity. But I was actually in a therapist's office and I got up to use the restroom and I looked at her clipboard. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I looked at her clipboard as I was walking out of the room, and she had right in the middle of the clipboard anxiety disorder circled with an exclamation point. And that was one of those aha moments where I went, oh, okay, well that could explain a decent amount. But at the same time, I try not to wear that one too much. So yes, I have had anxiety. I've absolutely had panic attacks, not so much to the point where they're debilitating, but I also must say, I mean, it wasn't until I was 40 something, early 40s, that I really realized the power of breathing techniques and mindfulness. I thought it was a bunch of woo woo stuff for so many years. And let me tell you, when it comes to anxiety and panic attacks, it has been an absolute game changer. So I just want to share that with you because I tell you what, there's a lot of different things that you can do to manage it and to continue to live into your best life. And the more you practice it, the better it gets. You know, it's something else that's great for anxiety, my friends? Gratitude. Again, thought it was all woo woo way back when. I mean, for decades I did, until I really started practicing it. And holy smokes, it'll actually completely rewire your brain. And you'll start to find more things to be grateful for. You'll find yourself in a much happier place on a regular basis. So, all right, want to jump in here and say what's up to some more friends here. I see Denise coming from San Francisco, California. Hello, my friend. I see Luz from Spain. I see Angela from Romania. Peggy, what's up? Thank you for joining me, Peggy. It's always good to see you on here. Trina, what's up, Shahir? BJ, yo, it's awesome to see you on here. All right, we got everyone jumping on. Okay, guys, enough about me. I've got questions for you. Let's have some fun, and I'm hoping for some interaction here. So you got to drop it into the comments, okay? Here we go, and I'm going to make you guys do a little bit of thinking on this one right now. What's one thing that you are proud of yourself for doing last week? We're going to start, we're going to dive into some gratitude. And I'm really hoping this helps you do a little bit of soul searching with me right now. And what's something that you are proud of yourself for doing last week? Share it. And I want to call you out. I want to acknowledge you for it. So think about this. What's something you're proud of yourself for doing last week? Good job, BJ. Went for a longer walk. I love that. I absolutely love that. Fitness Chick 32, Miramar Beach. Holy smokes, Miramar is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Miramar, Northern California or Miramar, Southern California? Because there's a beautiful Miramar by Half Moon Bay. And then there's also a Miramar down by San Diego, which is the Naval Air Station. So, Bo, helping my parents that are struggling health-wise. Way to go. WS Marple says, staying consistent on walking on my walking pad. I love it. I got a new walking pad. It came in yesterday. I'm so excited. Yo, M. Hark says, your first Spartan race with your kids. Let's go. That's freaking awesome. Cassie says, I started my new quilt. Valerie, I worked out 4 days and added weights. Amazing. Verna, eating right. Beautiful. Kim Habercorn, lifting more weight. Beautiful. Verna, working out and walking. I love it. Peggy, walking on your treadmill. Way to go, my friend. Yeah, you've record rains in Alabama for Peggy. Let me tell you. We offered a trade. I told her I'd send her some Arizona sun if she could send us some Alabama rain. Sarah, I love it. And by the way, it was a beautiful post the other day. Sarah got really honest with her emotions and challenges. And that honesty leads to healing. It's so true. Thank you for sharing, Sarah. Thank you for sharing in the collective as well. That was beautiful. NW Campbell says, holding yourself accountable with some consistency. And let me see. Martika says, went to the gym on Saturday for cycle class. I love it. Kelly, great week of carb cycling and walking on the treadmill coming this week. I love it. Let's go. Stacy, having walked 2 blocks with my grandpa who has Alzheimer's. And he talked about the flowers. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And Sonia, very similar, helping out with assisted living folks with dementia. That is incredible, Sonia. Thank you for doing that. Absolutely beautiful. All right, over here. Let's go Insta. Yo, Karen, good job. Karen Jane 68, getting out of your recumbent trike. That's I love it. You're getting out on your recumbent trike. That's so cool. Teens Nicole says, hit my step goal all 7 days. Good job, my friend. Eddie, my man, Eddie, dude, good to see you on here. Staying consistent with your plan. Yo, Eddie is Mr. Consistency. The guy's got a streak of kept promises for, I swear, it's like 3,000 days. I'm exaggerating, but he's probably going to be there pretty soon. Eddie, you're a freaking rock star, man. Here we go. Gus volunteered. Beautiful. Peter, going to the gym 5 days out of the week. That's incredible, dude. Way to go. Being thankful for these activities. This is so cool to do these activities with people that you might take for granted, but that you get to do. What a beautiful mindset. Let that one sink in, everybody. That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. Cynthia, yay, stayed on track with her eating. And down 3 more pounds. Good job, my friend. Consistency is everything. Progress over perfection every single day. Okay, I'm going to mess this one up. Zedrowo Fitowo. I love the name, by the way. 10,000 steps. That's definitely something to be proud of. Proud of yourself. Denise says, proud of myself for being able to work out while taking care of my 2-month-old puppy. That is a chore unto itself. Good job, my friend. Good job. Okay, here's another one. Okay, real quick. If your week, and by the way, we're going to do this for this week. If this week has a theme song, what's it going to be? Drop your theme song in here right now. Let's go, you guys. What is your theme song going to be for this week right now? I'm thinking, I'll think of mine, but I want you guys to go first. You know, it's one of my favorite songs, and this one just gets me pumped up, but Unstoppable by Sia. I know I play it in my stories, in my Insta and Facebook stories a lot, but I do that because it gets me fired up. Unstoppable by Sia is awesome. Oh, Victoria, Some Nights by Fun. That's a great one. Bo, Dancing in the Moonlight. Eddie, I Will Survive. Yes, my friend, you've survived 100% of all of your bad days and your bad weeks, and you're going to survive this one too. That's awesome. Let's go crazy. Karen Jane says, "Let's go crazy" by Prince. Rosemary says, "I'm a survivor." I love it. All right, we got over here on Facebook, Cassie, another one bites the dust. I love it. Sarah, yes, here comes the sun. Amazing. That's always a good one. Just especially waking up to little Beatles. Happy by Pharrell Williams. I like that one a lot. Melissa Joe says Backup Plan by Bailey Zimmerman. I don't know that song, but just the name alone, I can guess. Dreams by the Cranberries. I was literally singing that this morning. All right, here we go. I'm Still Standing by Elton John, says Shelly. That's a classic one. Michelle, there you go. Lose It. Beautiful. Oh, guys, thanks for playing along. This is awesome. Great stuff, guys. All right. Okay, here one more question, then you guys can put me in the hot seat and let's answer some questions. I want whatever I can do to just help you guys out, support you on the journey. Okay. The question is, how many of you had a really solid and consistent weekend versus how many of you feel like usually on the weekends they get a little bit out of hand? Because remember, consistency is everything, especially when you're on the wellness journey and the weight loss journey. And so a lot of times it's like you're great Monday through Friday, and then all of a sudden maybe Friday night things, you just have a little bit of this, little bit of that, little extra, and turns into Saturday, and then turns into Sunday, and you just kind of, it seems like this just recurring cycle, and you don't make progress because you end up taking a few steps back on the weekend, and they just go a little bit overboard. Anyone know what I'm talking about? I think you do. So Warren, thanks for your honesty. He says out of hand for sure. Yes, Stephanie, I get it. I hope, by the way, I don't know if you saw my comment in the collective, but I hope your open houses went well. It was a beautiful day for it, that's for sure. Here we go. Oh, Bo, consistent after a partying weekend the weekend before. Okay, good. So you were consistent last weekend. That's a win. That's really good. Yay, Cynthia moved all weekend, stayed on track. Amazing. Jeannie did. She had a great, consistent weekend. She's been so intentional and being sure the weekend is not a washout. Guys, this is a lesson that I teach on a regular basis. It's called the weekend washout. I'm actually going to be doing a post about it here, probably within the week. I've done it before, but I think we need a regular reminder of this one. And this is what we call it. We call it the weekend washout. You're so consistent. You're at a good, steady deficit. You're making progress. Because you're at a deficit, you're losing body fat. Then all of a sudden, you go into the weekend, and the surplus is such a significant surplus, it washes out the deficit from the week before for a net zero, maybe even sometimes for a net plus. And so then you just rinse and repeat, and you do this weekend after weekend after weekend, and you don't go anywhere, but you put in all this work during the week. So just a little bit more mindfulness over the weekends, and maybe even a little bit of preparation, you can still have a ton of fun. But a little bit of preparation goes a long way, especially in your long-term goals and your long-term progress. So yeah, this is awesome. It's awesome to see the people that were consistent through the weekend. It's also awesome to see the people that are being honest with themselves. Because guess what? One of the number one things, the number one ingredient that you need in order to transform is to take responsibility for your actions. And so this is beautiful to see those that said, hey, I got out of hand. Guess what? If you can be honest with yourself and you can even share it on here, that's even more powerful. So Rio, awesome. I'm proud of you. Great job. Rio said it got out of hand. Anyone, that's the most important thing, is that you can just say, look, I did it. I take responsibility for it. Got out of hand. Now that I know it, hey, if you can name it, you can tame it. That's what we say all the time, especially in the collective. Like, look, if you can just call it for what it is, and it's not just a little secret that you kind of keep in here, you're too proud to share it. No, if you get it out, then we can do something about it. So that's awesome. All right. Julie. Hey, okay, so here we go. My turn. Y'all can put me in the hot seat now. Let's have some fun with this. Julie says, "What's the best way to stay on track during a vacation when you're away from home and restaurants are tempting?" So there's a whole guide I actually put together for travel, restaurants, and everything. Here's what we do. I'm going to try to give you the Cliff's Notes version as fast as possible so we can get to some other questions. But the number one thing I do is, of course, I'm going to pack all my non-perishables right there in my bag or in my suitcase. So of course, I'm going to have my protein powders and my bars, sometimes a little bit of fruit, some nuts, some snacks, some protein bars, etc. So I pack all that. So I've got them for the in-betweens. But then as soon as I get to my destination, by the way, don't hesitate to carry, even if you got protein powders, you can totally bring them through TSA. You just pull them out of your bag. You have to put them on the conveyor belt. That's the only thing they ask you. Put them on that belt. They're going to do a swab. They'll hand it back to you and say, "Thank you so much for taking it out of your bag." Super easy to travel with powders, my friends. As soon as you get to where you want to go, though, this is always part of my regimen. And by the way, I spent 10 years of my life traveling a lot. As soon as I land, before I get to the hotel, I actually go to the grocery store first and I'll pick up yogurt, maybe some blueberries, a couple little snacks here and there, some cold cuts, basically just some of the absolute basics, but still foods that are going to be high in protein. They're going to be extremely filling, etc. And then when I get to the hotel, so I'll Uber to a grocery store first, or even grab a rental car, grocery store. Then I go from the grocery store to the hotel. As soon as you get to the hotel, if they don't already have a kitchenette or a refrigerator in your room, you can absolutely request one. Sometimes they'll charge you $10, but if you tell them that you actually have a special dietary needs and you need that refrigerator, they should give you that refrigerator for free. If you're like, "I cannot eat certain foods, I must actually have my food, and because I've got special dietary needs," boom, you got a fridge for free in your room. Stock it all up. But here's the thing, you're on vacation. So let's be honest. I'm not going to sit here tell you to be like, all regimented while you're on vacation and eating, completely consistent with plan, because guess what? Have some fun in life. But then now let's talk about the restaurant guide. So here's the best part, though. The money that you spent at the grocery store is going to save you hundreds of dollars on the back end because you can eat those consistently throughout the day. And it's not just going to a restaurant for breakfast and then going to a restaurant for lunch and then going to a restaurant for dinner, where it's a 2-hour ordeal. No, eat your food, go cruise around town, go have fun, go make memories. It's not just all about sitting in a restaurant. When you are at the restaurant, though, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can, number one, determine which restaurant you're going to go to ahead of time. Pull it up on ahead of time on as far as their menu goes. Browse the menu. Figure out what it is that you like. A lot of restaurants nowadays, they're going to put all their macros and their calories on there, so at least you're aware of it. You can always go there. There's a lot of different things you can do at the restaurant, as far as asking for all sauces on the side, everything. As far as like asking that the foods, like for example, my dad and my stepmom were in town. We all went to breakfast on Saturday or Friday morning. We got to breakfast and I got corned beef hash with eggs. And when the first thing I asked for is, please cook it with no butter and no oil. And sure enough, guess what? I got the most delicious corned beef hash with eggs with probably about 200 or 300 calories fewer than they would have if they cooked that thing in oil. So make requests. Always ask for no butter, no oil, all your dressings and sauces on the side, and that way you can control a lot of it. I always aim for something that's going to be majority protein as far as the meal goes. So whatever your meat is, or a heavy dairy protein source, and you're good to go. All right, I'm rambling. I'm going a little bit too long on this question, but nevertheless, it's a great question. And the more prepared you are, the easier it is. And you can learn all these little tricks of the trade. And then once you do it a few times, it just gets so much easier. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Oh gosh, Kim. Yo, what up, Kim Kabbalah? Yeah, here's the best part. Guys, I used to be a waiter, and I'll tell you straight up, you can absolutely make requests all you want. I don't know. I mean, perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, it was unheard of. No, you can make requests. There are so many special dietary needs nowadays. Almost any restaurant will accommodate your requests, and it's okay. Don't hesitate. I certainly was never offended when I was waiting a table. We're talking years ago. But yeah, people made requests all the time, and I'd take it back to the kitchen, and it was not a problem at all. Nope. I mean, because this is just the nature of it nowadays. And I think people, more than anything, people honor those requests if you make them. So don't hesitate to tell them how you want your food. And that way, guys, that way you can sit and you can enjoy your time with your friends and family on vacation. You have a great time, but at the same time, you don't need to worry about falling off track or feeling like, oh, I'm stuck into eating this and now I'm beating myself up. No, you're still going to get your delicious restaurant meal. And most of the time, when you get all that stuff on the side or you make those special requests, the food's still just as delicious. You're not going to know the difference. So help yourself. Yeah. And don't hesitate to make requests. Breakfast ideas. Valerie's asking breakfast ideas for people that don't eat eggs. There's a lot of, again, special dietary needs out there. I'm a huge, big fan of dairy proteins. So any of your yogurt parfaits or cottage cheese meals, etc. Or here's the thing. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out some of my recipes, Valerie, but we make some magic with protein powders. So we're talking pancakes and waffles and lava cakes. You could do a chocolate lava cake for breakfast with, we could. It's a decent recipe there. And we're talking maybe 5 or so ingredients, but you can actually make these delicious puddings out of like Core Power shakes, mix it with a pack of Jello, and you can do these awesome puddings and pour them over a lava cake. I mean, or you could do it with lemon. I just posted my lemon ricotta pancakes. I've done my boysenberry waffle sandwich with ice cream in the middle with protein ice cream. I mean, Valerie, the options are endless when it comes to delicious breakfast recipes if you don't eat eggs. So you got to look into it. Check out, I mean, I post new recipes usually every week on my stories. I didn't post one on Friday. I did chicken fries last weekend. I'm sorry, the weekend before. I am going to actually throw them into a post this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Let me see here. What else? Guys, fire away with some questions. Let me see. All right. Eve Natasha says, I don't have a ton of weight to lose, but struggling to lose those last 8 to 10 pounds forever. All right, heads up. And Eve, this is a great question because anybody out there listening, if you're on the weight loss journey, eventually you're going to be in the same place. And so it's those last 8 to 10 pounds. They are a challenge because your body has already gone through a lot of adaptation. This is natural. We know this. There will be metabolic adaptation. And guess what? If you've been on a long journey, your body has gone through significant metabolic adaptation. And that's not necessarily favorable. It means that your body's actually resisting the weight loss to a certain extent by lowering metabolic rate, again, to become efficient. However, can you still lose the last 8 to 10 pounds? 1,000% you can. Number one, I'm going to ask you're going to need a lot more patience. Second of all, though, your deficit should not be aggressive. It has to be smaller because you're getting closer and closer to your goal. You're probably going to need also more, I'm going to say this, diet breaks. Now, in my world, we actually have a word for it called the slingshot. But what's going to happen is that your body, again, is going to keep trying to adapt and adapt and adapt, and you're going to want to create a bigger and bigger deficit. The greater the deficit, the more stress, the more cortisol your body's going to release, and you're going to see a lot more water retention, which messes with your mind because it's not that you're not consistently losing a little bit of fat every day. You're still getting there, but your body will continue to try to retain water, and that can really mess with you because you can fluctuate with water so much more aggressively than you can actually lose or gain body fat. I did a post about this last week. So with that, what I'm saying is you'll probably want to create a deficit, a shallow deficit for a period of time. And then you're going to want to give yourself a little bit of a break. I would typically, especially when you're on those last few pounds, give yourself I would give yourself maybe 4 or 5 months to get there. Don't do it aggressively. If you want to keep it off forever, take your time going through it. We can always peel it off fast, and we'll call it bungee jumping, where you jump, you get those 8 to 10 pounds lost, and then all of a sudden you rebound back. No, give yourself some time. I'd say create a deficit, bring yourself down just a little bit, and you're gonna create that deficit a little bit with diet, and I would increase your steps significantly. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Here's how I'd want you to do it. Maybe create a 200 or 300 calorie deficit, but then I'd want you actually to turn it into a 500 or 600 calorie deficit by increasing your steps, not increasing your overall cardio, Nothing high intensity. Steps, steps, steps. Keep it very low intensity. Again, there's a lot of ways to do this. This is my method. And then from there, if your body, if the results start to slow down, give yourself a break. I'd bring those calories back up to maintenance for just a little bit, maybe a week or so, create another deficit, increase more steps. And when you increase steps by 10 to 15% a week. That's what I would do. And as long as it stays reasonable and doable, if anytime you set a goal to say hit, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 steps a day, if you're not hitting that goal, you must bring it down to something that you absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt you can keep every single day. And then give yourself a break, deficit again. Give yourself a break, deficit again. And if you can keep kind of cycling through that and maybe breaking once a month or maybe once every 6 weeks or maybe every 8 weeks, you'll slowly start to chip away and then cruise into that first finish line. But then the journey of maintenance begins. So it's going to be a challenge, but at the same time, you can absolutely do it. I hope that helps. All right. Let me see. Let's see. Intermittent fasting. I want to say Azer, do you think following intermittent fasting is a good idea for weight loss and can a person keep it long term? I've spoken to this one a handful of times. I'm a huge fan of intermittent fasting for the people that it works for. So that's my answer on it. Now, the literature actually suggests that both ways work. There's nothing that's magic about intermittent fasting when it comes to an overall calorie deficit on the weight loss journey. By the way, I'm going to suggest that everybody out there do your own research on this, but you will find that whether you wake up and you're consistently eating throughout the day, or if you choose to wake up and then not eat and then maybe eat for starting at noon and stopping at 5 or whatever your feeding window would be, as long as you are if you're at the same calorie deficit, guess what? You're going to lose the exact same amount of weight. And so now we're going to throw a whole new curveball in there, and we're going to talk about human behavior and what works best for you, because there's no one size fits all. Some people wake up and they're so hungry, they just need to eat right away. Others are like, you know what? I don't need to eat till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I thrive with boundaries. And I know as long as I eat between 1 and 5 o'clock, I can get all my calories in. I'm totally satisfied and I'm good for the rest of the day. Guess what? Then intermittent fasting is a wonderful solution for you. And I think it can be extremely helpful, not just to lose weight, but to keep it off forever. And then others, like I said, they're so hungry within 30 minutes of waking, and then they eat, and then they need to eat throughout the day to keep their blood sugar levels stable and everything like that. Hey, guess what? Intermittent fasting might not be right for them. So it really does come down to it is the law of thermodynamics, which is going to be calories in and calories out at the end of the day. So here's the key, and those are the boundaries. So, right? That's going to be the edge of the canvas. And now you are the artist, and you get to paint whatever it looks like in between, whether it's feeding throughout the day or whether it's intermittent fasting, whatever's going to work for you. As long as you hit that target, you're going to win in the long run. So then there's only one way to find out. It's going to be trial and error. So see what works best for you. Try it out. Put it into action. And when you're in action, it's going to tell you everything. And you start to learn so much about yourself in this beautiful journey of discovery that you're on. So go into it with childlike curiosity and try both ways and find out which one you feel the best at. So you can hit the calorie targets, you'll be at a deficit, but find which one that your energy levels are good and your mental clarity is good and you're sleeping well and your overall quality of life is better with. That's going to be the solution for you. Okay, here we go. Let's, what are some other questions here? Okay, let me see. Loose Gunner 8 question: 1 liter of water, is it enough each day? It's a great question, Loose. And by the way, temperatures they're heating up right now, so this is a really good lesson for all of us, guys. We do need to start drinking more water as it's getting warmer outside. Here's a really good rule of thumb: there is no set equation saying that every human needs to drink this much water every day, but a really good rule that we can follow that's going to get us somewhat close. And again, there's lots of variability here. There's lots of variables because there's no one size fits all, but this is it. Half your body weight in ounces every day. And if you drink, so if you're, say you're 200 pounds, if you drink 100 ounces every single day, then that's a really good place to start as far as considering yourself minimally hydrated. Minimally hydrated. For reference, 1 gallon of water is 128 ounces. So I'm going to say that again. If you're 200 pounds, you drink 100 ounces of water a day. A gallon of water is 128. So you drink maybe a little bit less than a gallon, almost a liter less. Then it's a pretty good place to start for guesstimating that you would be minimally hydrated. I'm not saying maximally hydrated. I'm saying minimally hydrated. It's a great place. The more active you are, if you live in a dry, arid environment, if you live at altitude, these are all things that will actually increase your release of water, of fluid. And so you probably should be drinking more. Obviously, if you're working outside for X amount of time every day, etc., it's important. But here, let's also ask. Let's talk about a few other things. Here's a really good rule of thumb. This is what I do with all of my clients. Is that, and I always suggest this if you're having a hard time getting your water in, is that we follow something called the 10 gulp rule. Whereas every time the bottle touches your lips or the straw touches your lips, take 10 gulps before putting it down. This is if you're having a hard time getting your water in. Here's another thing. You can flavor your water. Yes, please flavor it. Guess what? I got my water right here, and I do not like the flavor of regular water. I wish you could see it. I'd show you. My water is it's blue because it's flavored like it's blueberry lemonade flavor with electrolytes in it. And so if the water doesn't taste good, I ain't going to drink that much of it. I found that when I flavor my water, I can easily get 128 ounces in. I can easily get that gallon in every day because it tastes so good. I just want to sip it all day long. And so it keeps me coming back to it on a regular basis. So 10 gulp rule could be incredibly helpful. Flavor your water. And now the next thing, I know you guys are thinking about this. Does it have to just be water? No. So there was a lot of back and forth. And by the way, for 20 years, if you told me what should I drink, I'd be like, well, it's got to be water, and nothing else counts. No, I'm wrong. I was wrong. And so the water in your food counts toward your hydration. That counts toward your half your body weight in ounces. And Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, watermelon. I mean, our food has fluid in it. It's got water in it. That water actually counts. Is it tough to actually add that into the equation? Yeah, it can be kind of tough. So just to make it easy on me, I count my liquids and not the fluids that are actually in my food. So I do just count my liquids, but technically it counts. Does coffee count? Yes, it actually does. Does diet soda count? Yeah, it does. Look, this coffee right here, my Kirkland coffee, it counts. It's another 11 ounces right there. I got 40 ounces right here. You want to make it easy also? Track it. There's a lot of different apps that will track your water intake. Super easy. I've got one, the Kept app. Check it out. So guys, yeah, it's not difficult once you kind of get into the groove of it. Great question, Luz. Thank you so much. All right. Here we go. Let me see. Okay, Janners 77. How long does it take for your body to start another water? Not sure what you're saying there, but so that you're not peeing all the time. Well, here's the catch. If you're properly hydrating yourself, you're peeing on a regular basis. You're probably peeing a little bit more than you might be peeing right now. And so just get used to that. I'm probably excusing myself from the command center. I would say, usually about every hour and a half or so, just as the body is naturally consuming and flushing and consuming and flushing. So it's one of the things you just kind of get used to it. However, keep this in mind also. Quite often, the majority of us are chronically dehydrated. And the mechanism for thirst is so weak in the brain, we often confuse it for hunger. So why do you think that so many, especially like the medical professionals or a lot of the recommendations are out there are like, hey, before you eat, drink a glass of water. It's probably one of the best ways to actually become very quickly mindful about body awareness and checking in to see, am I really physically hungry? A lot of times you'll actually drink some fluid and you go, oh, I'm good. I'm not hungry at all. I was just thirsty. Yeah, that mechanism is really weak on our mind, and quite often we're thirsty. By the way, also, if you're dehydrated, guess what happens with your metabolic rate? The amount of calories your body burns, it actually goes down. So if you're on the weight loss journey, hydration, it sets such a beautiful foundation. To be regularly hydrated throughout the weight loss journey is critical. It is huge. So I cannot stress enough the importance of just adopting a couple of these habits. And here's the thing, don't kick yourself if you're not getting half your body weight in ounces every day. Guess what? If you just aim to get an extra quart a day right now, that's it. Maybe an extra couple glasses of water a day. That's a win. It's better than you were doing yesterday. So just baby steps, my friends. Don't try to take on too much too soon. I know I just gave you a lot of stats about how much you should be drinking, but again, progress over perfection. And if you just get an extra glass of water today than you got yesterday, and then maybe in a week or two, you add another glass in there. Guess what? Progress. And that means you're getting where you want to go and you're making forward progress. Always progress over perfection every single time. All right. Here we go. Looking for some more questions. There we go. So Sheldon actually has some really good information here. Sheldon says on average, about 20% of your daily water intake comes from food. So foods that are high in water content, like fruits, vegetables, soups, and dairy, they contribute significantly. Sheldon, thank you so much. I love that. Yeah, Colleen, that meal water enhancers, it is good stuff. If you haven't tried the Transform HQ hydration, it's pretty tasty as well. Check this out, guys. So remember, we were talking about a diet break earlier when you actually bring your calories up to maintenance and then you allow your body to rest and relax and release. And this happens. This must happen on every journey, especially the longer journey of weight loss. When your body you're at a deficit, you're doing it right, and it's just not getting the results. Guess what? The magic is still happening under the surface. It's just the water retention. And so a lot of times when you give yourself a diet break, there is a release of your body's not going to be as stressed. So there will be a reduction in cortisol. Your body can finally release a lot of the fluid. And check this out. I'm going to acknowledge Sandy Aguila right now because she said, oh my God. So I'm 1 week on the Slingshot, which is a diet break, which means she's brought her calories. She's not at a deficit. She brought them up to maintenance because she was frustrated and she was dieting and she was moving and she was creating this massive deficit, wasn't moving. She said, since your last live, I was doubtful, but I told myself I got to trust Chris. Thank you for your trust, my friend. She said, I increased carbs and cut down on my exercise. This is last week. I've lost 4 pounds so far from a long stall. Sandy, first of all, thank you for trusting me. I assure you, I would never ask you to do something that's going to make me look bad. And I knew if you're so stressed, because when we troubleshot this last week, yeah, it seemed like you were doing everything you possibly could and your body was just resisting it. Here's the best part also. That 4 pounds was not just, it's not like your body lost 4 pounds of fat last week. That 4 pounds, the magic was happening. Your body was actually mobilizing and oxidizing that fat when you weren't seeing it on the scale. What you're able to do with that reset was simply, well, you actually did help reset some of your hunger hormones, which is amazing. It's very necessary along the way, but you're also able to reduce your cortisol levels, let your body relax and release. And now we could pull that blanket off the sculpture and you can see the work, that beautiful work that you've been putting in for X amount of weeks or months. You can see everything that you've done. And now when your body is finally kind of resets and stabilizes at the Slingshot, then you just create a little deficit again and you start to go back to work and you start burning more fat. So I'm so proud of you. That's really incredible. You just lit me up. This is awesome. And I hope you also now, instead, here's a question for you. How many of you have been working so hard and you're doing everything that you can, but scale's not showing it? Sometimes it's even up a pound or two and you throw your arms up and you go, that's it. I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And you go right back to some of your old patterns and you gain the weight back. Whereas all you really needed to do was just give yourself a diet break, allow your body to release the water and see all the work that you've really been putting in. And then you could have stayed on track. And by the way, I'm sharing it now because you can't unlearn that. And now you can stay on track and you can give yourself a little bit of freaking grace in the process, which you deserve because you've worked so hard for this. So instead, let's have a little bit of appreciation for our amazing human body and what it will actually do as it's compensating, as it's trying to make these adjustments, as it's trying to to adapt to a calorie deficit, but it's doing so by also, releasing some cortisol. And yes, and retaining some water. But now that you've done that, Sandy, anytime that you encounter a plateau from here on out, you can go, I know what's going on. Plateau lasts for 2 weeks. 3 weeks. We know what's up. Give yourself a little reset, allow it to drop, and then pick right back up where you left off. And you will never, ever, ever start yo-yoing again. Let's stop the yo-yo thing. Have a little bit of appreciation for how your body loses weight. And once you understand that, you'll never go back. So cool. You've got that in your arsenal forevermore. I'm really proud of you. Good job. Yo, Kelly, what's up, my friend? Kelly Myersfield, Wexel. Well, Kelly Wexel, Kelly Myersfield Wexel. Awesome to see you on here. All right. Cassie says, what are some other ways to wind down for sleep? Is there a chance to create a playlist on the mindfulness tab on the Kept app? Oh, thank you so much for following the Kept app. I'm so glad. I hope you're able to track so many of your daily habits on there. Oh gosh, sleep is that, guys, that sleep is a lesson unto itself. In fact, when I do my challenges, by the way, I do 2 challenges a year. I'm going to be opening up the doors for my next challenge early August. And then we're going to be kicking it off in September. It's going to be back to school, back to you time. And so that will be my second challenge of the year. We'll open up the doors, then we'll close them again. But when we do take the next wave through, we do a massive lesson on sleep. So Cassie, sleep is actually one of those really cool things in that it's like what we actually do first thing in the morning significantly affects our sleep. And then when you understand how those circadian rhythms work and how they flow, it's really powerful. And most of us don't even realize that we have not been getting good sleep for a long time. But how do you know if you've gone 10, 15, 20 years without good sleep? That's just normal to you until you actually start to implement some of these tactics and you get amazing sleep. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. Obviously, from, cutting your caffeine, alcohol intake 6 to 8 hours beforehand, or at least tapering it off into 2 hours beforehand. I mean, even dimming the lights as the sun is going down to a couple hours, maybe an hour and a half or so, maybe a little bit of magnesium supplementation, magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate beforehand, into taking a hot shower before you go to bed so that the body temperature can drop 1 degree to take you into sleep, into cooling your room from 62 to 69 degrees so you've got a nice cool environment, blacking everything out with a mask and earplugs. I mean, there's some really amazing things that you can do to maximize and to really optimize your sleep. But really, most of it, you set the clock first thing in the morning if you can get sun in your eyes, or at least really bright light. If you're in a part of the world that just doesn't get a lot of sunlight, the more bright light that you can get in your eyes first thing in the morning, boy, it actually sets. I'm going to geek out on you here for a second, but there's a mechanism in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It sits just above the roof of the mouth, and it's our internal clock. But it's the eyes, which is the only part of the brain that extends outside of the cranial cavity. It's the light in the eyes that actually triggers that suprachiasmatic nucleus first thing in the morning. So as soon as you get that sunlight, it shuts off melatonin production and it sets the clock to kick back on in about 12 hours. So it's really wild when you do that several days in a row, and then all of a sudden you start getting really tired at night, which is a wonderful thing. And if you dim the lights with the setting sun, your natural melatonin production goes through the roof. So, I mean, there's all kinds of cool things that you can do for sleep. So we'll have some fun with that one. Okay. Guys, you're awesome. Thanks for the kind words. I hope you all know I really love doing these lives and just jumping in here and connecting with you guys. Let me see. Oh, Earl. So Earl's asking about how to build endurance. He wants to be able to run a mile without feeling out of breath. Earl, what a beautiful journey to embark upon. And one of the best things you can do is, how are you right now with walking a mile? That's one. I'll tell you. And by the way, I'm not an endurance coach. I've done a lot of endurance events and I've got a lot of friends that are endurance coaches. So I always like to glean as much information from them as possible. I've done a handful of marathons. I've done a half Ironman and all that good stuff. And let me tell you, one of the greatest methods that I've used, and this is my personal preference, people can definitely disagree with me, but I love the run walk method. And so early on in the process, you're going to take something that's going to be a fraction of the distance, maybe just 400 meters to start off with. And I want you to just walk it. If you feel comfortable doing that, then maybe try walking, doing another 400 meters, and maybe walk for a minute, or walk for a minute, jog for a minute, walk for a minute, jog for a minute. And then from there, maybe extend it out to 800 meters, same thing. And you just slowly build up to it. Give yourself plenty of time, but just the walk jog method. And by the way, when you start off walking and jogging, you're actually going to walk for probably, it's like a 3-to-1 ratio. So you walk for 3 minutes, jog for a minute. Or maybe it's even walk for, I don't know, walk for 1.5 minutes and then jog for 30 seconds, whatever that might be. Start off with like 3-to-1 ratio, then bring it down to a 1-to-1 ratio. Walk for 30 seconds, jog for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds, jog for 30 seconds. Maybe it's a minute, whatever that might be. And then you start to move it to a 1-to-3 ratio or a 1-to-2 ratio, then a 1-to-3 ratio. And before you know it, you're running a mile. And it feels the same way as when you're walking and jogging. Your heart rate is almost, it might spike up just a little bit here and there, but that's how I love to slowly progress into longer distances and longer durations. Just because I don't love doing endurance. Although, to be honest, I've always said my body's made for a 5K max, but I'll get out there and I'll do it. Oh, Kim Kabbalah, she's got some great advice. Yeah, Jeff Galloway, he is brilliant. He's a world-class coach. He's got some great concepts for the whole run walk training plan. So Google him. And thank you, Kim. You're awesome. Cool, guys. Oh, my friends, this is always so much fun. Hate to wrap this up, but I am going to have to jump here in a moment just because I've got an 11 o'clock meeting and I got to start prepping for it. But I always just have so much fun jumping on here and hanging out with you guys. Let me see. Oh, Eve Natasha says, my thoughts about 75 hard. Is it too hard? Not advisable? It's a great way to kickstart a wellness lifestyle. I think the whole concept behind it, I think is really powerful. And for those who will jump in and they've just, type A personality works pretty well with. I've worked with a lot of people that really struggle with the consistency because it's taking on a lot. And for a lot of people in their everyday crazy lives, it seems there are some aspects that might be a little bit unattainable. And so again, it works great for some. But the one thing that I do always worry about is that you started off and then, say you don't get your 2 workouts in the day, and the one inside and the one outside. Say you didn't get your reading in, or say you didn't get, the concept is let's just follow any diet. But like, say something doesn't happen because it's asking a lot, and you have to start over. A lot of the people that I've worked with for years, they'll beat themselves up over that. There's already a lot of negative self-talk, and so it's a lot of the folks I've kind of helped from there, it's kind of picking them back up and trying to ignite some belief in themselves again. So I like to start off a lot smaller and let you start to build that belief in yourself again and realize, hey, I can drink an extra quart of water a day, every single day for a week. Okay, now if I can do that, now let's build something on top of it. So instead of tackling, all components at once, I like to tackle one. Especially, you guys, if you've tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and you've yo-yoed your entire life, maybe instead of taking on a lot, you just take on one thing. And when you've built that belief in yourself and you can do that, add another layer on top of that. And then add another layer on top of that. And slowly keep adding when you know that you can actually keep those commitments to yourself. Because the most important thing is that you actually start to believe in yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't do. We know this. I try to poke some holes in that. It's really, the human belief is really one of the most powerful forces on earth, and you've got it. The thing is, it's there, but you just have to prove it to yourself. And it's not, you don't build it just like, oh, I believe in myself now. No, you have to earn that trust back. And the only way you're going to earn that trust back is by keeping your promises to yourself over and over and over again. It's not going to appear. You have to earn your own trust back. And so maybe I think this is a really good place to kind of end this whole thing off. Make a small promise and keep it. And then keep it over and over and over again until you know without a shadow of a doubt you can do it and build it again. That's the whole concept behind Kept Promises, which is that was the app I built. It's literally about keeping promises, and then you keep that streak going. And every once in a while, there might be a crazy day where it just everything falls apart and it doesn't happen, and then you do. This is definitely another conversation to be had, but you confess, you recess, and you recommit, and you start over. But it's keeping those promises are everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave you all with that. I wish you the very best Monday and an incredible week ahead. By the way, all those theme songs that you guys told me about earlier, start playing them. And I hope it gets you guys all fired up for the week ahead. We got this. You've got this. Guys, I believe in you, and now just believe in yourself a little bit at a time. I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen right away. Just make a promise, keep it. That's the most important thing you can do. It's the greatest act of love that you can show yourself by keeping your promises to yourself. So I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. Have a wonderful Monday and rest of your week. I'll be on social. I'll be watching y'all. Okay. See you guys.